we've touched on all of these, but like the ego-based thing, like you're not, just because you're asking, so it's like you for World Cup, it's like, I'm gonna make it there.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you're not just gonna like call them up and be like, hey, give me a media pass. Like you have to work for it. So I always tell them like, make connections. And I know the biggest thing right now is like, don't work for free, like exposure bucks and stuff. Make the connections, make good connections. Don't just like try to be friends with somebody because you want to like shadow them or go shoot with them or something like that. Like actually make genuine connections with people that you look up to, and then you'll be there one day and you'll have your own following. Like that's the biggest thing I would say. And don't listen to people that tell you won't make it.
It's so cool. I get to take photos at a really high level of really pro athletes doing amazing stuff. And then I've sat here for the last 2 weeks looking at the Olympics being like, that's where I want to be. I want to be there. I want those opportunities, all that. And so the idea of like, you've only reached a peak if you've mentally reached that peak. And that's going to be sort of a major detractor on your sort of creative flow or freedom. I would say, be nice, make contacts, and make sure that your ego stays in check, because if 2 of those 3 go down the drain, then you're screwed.
All right, so we're here in Edmonton, Alberta. Paul's taking a photo of me as we start off. We're in Edmonton, Alberta. Very spontaneous episode 16 of the Sports Creative Showcase. I'm here with 2 very talented Alberta-based photographers. We have, to my left first, Erica Perreaux, shooter for the Lethbridge Hurricanes, the BC Lions, also a graphic designer. Brilliant hockey photographer. She will not tell you herself, but me and Paul love her work. The first time me and Paul sat down to have a drink, I pulled up Erica's Instagram and I'm like, he's like, I know what you're about to show me. You're known for your, like, at least for me, it's like the way you compose photos, the way your color pops, your swirly filters and your star filters. Very talented photographer. And to her left is Paul Swanson, NHL LSC. You've been in the role for a number of years now. Teacher by day, photographer by night. And we're going to just sit and talk shop. How are you guys doing?
Great. Beautiful day here.
Beautiful day here.
It's so good.
Shout out to your friend's studio for letting us shoot here.
Shout out Peterson Studio in Edmonton.
I guess if you need a photography studio, there's a big room with a lot of stuff. They let us record here for the day. For the people who don't know you, I know you guys just gave you guys a little introduction here. Can you just kind of one by one introduce yourself, who you are, what you do? Just give the viewers the 411 on who you are. I'll let you guys decide who goes first.
All right. I'm Paul Swanson. I've been an editorial and commercial photographer for a long time now. I kind of focus a little bit more now on sports and interior photography. Was doing all sorts of freelancing under the sun for the longest time. And now I sort of balance all of that. I'm a full-time teacher. I teach junior high, which is amazing. I get to teach all of them about photography and graphic design and video and all sorts of other stuff.
So I have to call you Mr. Swanson.
You know, if you want to, you can. I'm used to it by this point. But yeah, and I'm going on to my 4th year as an NHL LSC, just coming off a wild ride.
We got to know each other pretty well over the last couple of weeks.
I literally shot as much hockey this season as I possibly could as the LS was one of the LSCs in Edmonton. And yeah, it's been awesome to work and shoot and do all sorts of things.
Awesome. Erica, time to go.
Okay. I just started doing photography when I was in grade 10.
I thought she was about to say I just started doing photography. That's a lie.
Surprise. And I just had a digital camera and I just took pictures of my brother like skateboarding and like my cat and the normal stuff.
The way we all start.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Shout out Carson Perreaux, little skateboarder. And then I just was like, I need to do this, like somehow kind of make a little bit of money. So booked my first wedding for $200. And I got my first Nikon camera.
Oh yeah, we have 2 Nikon shooters, so I mean, like, this is completely.
It's gonna be so hard.
This is a throwaway episode because I'm shooting with 2 people who make very, very good like images on potatoes. So, anyways, continue on.
So then I just started doing it in high school a bit more, and then went to school in Lethbridge, moved there, and kind of just stuck around. And kind of got into the hockey scene because I played. And then my brother played with Prince Albert for 3 years, and he obviously played across Western Canada, and I would just travel and shoot from the stands with like my short little lens, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. So then I was like, okay, I'm going to try to do this as a full-time career, and here we are.
Here you are. When it comes to doing this as a full-time career, obviously that's, I think when I talk to a lot of younger people and people who listen to this, like that's kind of what they want to do. Just right off the hop, like what's a really big piece of advice you would give to the younger version of you who's just getting started, getting the first camera? What's the first thing you would kind of tell them, like in order to like get to where you are today, if you were able to talk to like that 15-year-old, 12-year-old version of yourself?
Be nice. Be nice and keep your ego in check. Like it's so cool. I get to take photos at a really high level of really pro athletes doing amazing stuff. And then I've sat here for the last 2 weeks looking at the Olympics being like, that's where I want to be. I want to be there. I want those opportunities, all that. And so the idea of like, you've only reached a peak if you've mentally reached that peak, and that's going to be sort of a major detractor on your sort of creative flow or freedom. I would say, yeah, be nice, make contacts, and make sure that your ego stays in check, because if 2 of those 3 go down the drain, then you're screwed making any sort of connection.
Yeah, like don't burn bridges. Make sure you're like, I always say to people, like the easiest thing you can do to get ahead is like don't be an asshole, for lack of a better word.
100%.
Because if you burn those bridges and if you're just a dick, and you know, like you're not going to get those opportunities. What about you?
Yeah, going off of the whole be nice part, I think that's kind of always been in the back of my mind too, because I was looking for a summer job once, and I went to a photo studio somewhere and sat down with the owner and was kind of just like, hey, if you need some help, like I'm here for it and stuff. And this person looked me in the eyes and said, well, you'll never make it anyways, so thanks for coming in to chat. And I wake up every day with that in the back of my mind, and I try to be as nice as I can to people that reach out to me as well. Go for the coffee dates or go for beers and talk to people, and connections are huge. That's how I know these two.
So the only reason we're sitting
the internet.
So, our internet friends.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's funny because I've actually known you guys now I've known you for like 2 or so years now. I think I've only known you for about a year or so now, but it's only been like strictly through the internet. And then you were in Toronto for the Indy. I was here at Stanley Finals. We finally got to meet. How important is it? And this is a bit of a very particular case because you guys are out west. You aren't necessarily living in a New York City, a Toronto, a Los Angeles, like a creative hub. It's a smaller, big city per se. And the sports creative scene is a lot smaller here. You only have a handful of teams. How important is it for you guys in order to find these opportunities, these jobs, whatever, whether it's, you with the CFL or you getting to get your job with the NHL? How important is it to foster a lot of these connections online as well because of where you guys are kind of geographically based?
It's so funny. Like there was whatever the stupid meme was like 3 weeks ago, and it was like, no one's got your back, like that random photographer friend that you're friends with on Instagram. And
I'm like, I know everybody like that.
It's so funny because going from like looking at sort of my work that I've done over a decade or plus of freelancing, it's like the community of people that are working in sports especially can be one of the most supportive and like creatively like helpful and driven communities to work with.
Agreed.
And it once again goes back to that being nice, but like there's making connections and then like if I'm in Toronto, like seeing you, or like if you're up in Edmonton, like seeing you at showing up at like a hockey game and being like, what's going on? But like maintaining those online and then real life connections is like not only like super helpful as like a coworker sense, but also as like actually like your soul is creatively like filled.
Yeah. It's because you have your friends that aren't photographers, and we all have those, and they're supportive, but they don't get it the same way. Like when you and I became friends and we immediately like understood kind of each other. And like, I feel like you, me and Chase and everyone who was just here for the final, like we all sat down and had a drink and we just immediately gelled because we know what it takes to be in this industry. And I think, again, when you're in a city like this in a geographically different location, you need those connections online to kind of survive. What's your kind of take on that?
Yeah, so like Lethbridge is where I'm based right now, and it's a very small city. There's like maybe 100,000 people when school is in. And so the way I even started out was I was just volunteering with the Hurricanes. And in between, like on game days and in between my duties, I would just go and shoot. And then just kind of grew from there and started doing the headshots and everything like that. So it's like, I think my biggest thing was I didn't have this expectation when I started. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, I'm in hockey. This is sweet. Like, this is the WHL. Like, I grew up watching the Wheat Kings. Like, to me, that was like my NHL at that point. Yeah. Like, I was like, this is so cool. So cool. And that was kind of like my starting point. And now I'm just like, okay, I'm going to run with this and make those connections. And going off of the whole, when you meet up with somebody that you like have never met, but they're creative, and it's like, you just feel different leaving that conversation. Yes. Like you actually feel like you are seen and you're worth it. And like,
you understand the thing, the trials and tribulations.
There are other people like you out there.
Like your story of like someone telling you you're not good enough. Like I had that same experience, and like, I'm going to talk very like briefly about it. But like I've had someone tell me like, oh, you aren't good enough to shoot at this level. And it's funny now when I am now at this level at the NHL and seeing that and people will know who I'm talking about. I'm just not going to say it. But there's a certain page that will repost my work. And then it's funny because they were the people who said I would never do it. But then you meet the people who support you and push you. And like, I think for as many bad apples, and we talked about it, it's a very supportive community, but there's also like bad apples everywhere. But like for every bad apple, there's like 10 more supportive people. So I think kind of the message is like, when you're trying to grow in this industry, like even online, like just talk to people, like reach out to people. Like, I think we're all very much in the same boat where we will always be open to helping people and giving them the advice, because I've always said it, like I always wanted to be the person I never had growing up, like growing up in this industry. I never had someone giving advice. I had never someone who was open to talking. I'm going to shift gears here for a second. I was going to talk about two different things with you guys, because you two shoot the same sport, all three of us do, but in very different facets. You obviously shoot for the NHL and you shoot for the WHL, but I'll say this, and I'll start with you. You make WHL hockey look like NHL hockey way more than like other shooters. Like, yeah, like give me your flowers. I know you're hating me right now for this, but like you make WHL hockey look professional. And I think a lot of people, when they're starting off and get stuck and kind of plateau, and they're like, I don't know what else I can make at this level. I'm tired of it. I don't have a good rink. I don't have a good lighting. Like they'll find excuses as to why they can't make more at that level, which I think you prove very well that you can make very good looking images in less than ideal scenarios. Like, I don't know what the Hurricanes rink is like, but I'm like, you make it look beautiful. What's your kind of thought process when you're at these games? Like, how do you make these elevated images that look professional for a junior team? What's your kind of thought process and creative process behind your photography?
I think it's because I care so much. Like, I care about these players. You get really close with them throughout a season, right? And some of them are there for 5 years. Some are only there for a couple months. And I really do it for them. And then also just like the families, like they're hours and like provinces away from these kids, or like, you know, we have 2 Euro kids that like their parents can't really come see them play or anything. And so my biggest thing is I always am like, I want to make it for them, but just normal action shots for me is boring and it doesn't help my brain. Like I need to have some kind of creative aspect to all my pictures. And so that's why, you know, I started playing around with like the double exposures. I did,
set the standard.
She's got a copyright.
Yeah, I need to copyright that one or something. Just like, I just need to find something else. And the feedback that I get from that, from like both the players' families, the organization, and then like people like you guys, it really like helps me want to produce more. Like when I, see a comment and it's like, this is amazing, or how did you do this, or like what filter is this? And
shout out Liam Sweeney.
Liam Sweeney was literally asking this. Can I read what he said to me last night?
We're at Boston Pizza, and she's like, "Do you know this guy?" Oh, I know this guy. And I sent him a photo.
And I'm sorry that I left you on red for 3 days, but
oh my God,
he goes,
how do you do the swirly thing?
Yeah. How do you do the swirls on photos? And then yesterday after we were at the Hockey Canada game, he just sends 2 question marks.
He's persistent.
I was like, oh, damn, sorry, man. So yeah, I'll let you borrow it sometime if we ever work together. But
so I just want to touch on something. You're not just taking photos, but you're very creative with how like you create your images. The double exposures is one thing that I think has always caught my eye about your photography. The star filter that you use is very much like, if I see it, I know it was you. And then now that swirly filter, which I really don't know what it's called, but you said you're going to let me use it, the halo filter. How did you kind of implement those into your workflow? Because we see sports photographers all the time take, I don't want to be like the same old photos, but like they're kind of like, I don't want to change it up too much. But yours these elements that you add to these photos make it way more artistic. Yeah. How did you kind of get involved? Like, especially the double exposure, like how did you start doing those and get used to doing them? Also, if you don't know who like her photography, go on Instagram @PerreauxPhoto and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. But how did you get started with like stuff like the double exposure and those filters that you use?
Yeah, I don't really even remember. I know it was when I was shooting a baseball team in Lethbridge, the Lethbridge Bulls. And when I first like got asked to go shoot them, I was like, oh, well, baseball's kind of slow, whatever. And I was like, well, it's not. It's actually quite fun to shoot. And then I was just like, I'm going to start doing this because they had the stadium lights and like the sunsets and everything. I'm like, okay, when the guy's up to bat, like you're locked on him, but it's like, well, if it, half the time they don't swing or whatever. And so it's like, okay, I'm going to actually try something different here to actually make this look more exciting. I don't know. I just started doing it and it went off. And so then I was like, well, I'm going to take this to hockey now. And it really helps. It's not the NMAX Center anymore. It's visitlethbridge.com arena. They have very good lighting. Visit Lethbridge. Visit Lethbridge, yeah.
You're like, don't visit Lethbridge.
It's a very nice facility, and I am very thankful for that. There's no camera holes, so it is hard, to get creative. Camera hole. I know, but
Paul's like me last night.
Yeah, we did have this conversation last night too. So you just have to become creative, like also with the facility that you're in. So then it's like during the game, I'll do doubles, but I won't use the actual halo filter. I'll do that like in warm-ups or in like.
There's a time and a place.
Exactly. Yeah. But push yourself and try different things, and then whatever works or doesn't work, like nobody else is gonna know. Like if I tried using my halo filter during a game and didn't work out, nobody will know the difference, right? So it's just like, well, they'll never know. They'll never see that anyways. So
okay. Yeah. When it comes to your work, Paul, shooting the NHL, how do you make sure you keep it fresh? You shoot 20 to 25 games a year plus playoffs, and you had a very, very long playoffs this year, obviously getting with the Oilers all the way to the final. How do you keep it fresh and consistent and try new things throughout a season? Because I think when you get to the point of shooting more than 10 games in a year, I can't imagine being a team photographer shooting 82 hockey games in a year. Like how do you, but like 20 to 25 games is a lot. Like I shoot maybe 5 or 6. I shot a lot more because it's the playoffs. But when you shoot that many games in a year, how do you keep it fresh on your end when you're shooting a team like the Oilers?
One of the things that I'm very, very lucky for with my position as an LSC is that I'm not shooting for press. So there's a lot of guidelines that, like Jason, who's shooting for CP, or, he's going to have 2 faces and the puck have to be in every single photo.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Or whatever the guidelines are that they need for, for this. And there's, if you're a news photographer, and you're shooting for whoever, sometimes there's a lot of different, very specific things that you need in order for that photo to be successful for them. I get to take a photo of Zach Hyman's glove, and send that to the Oilers social team.
And they're like,
this is sick. So like I'm awarded so much leniency for what I can do creatively that really and truly it's looking at people like Erica, or like looking at other photo, video, sports creators to just be like, hey, they did that in a basketball game. I want to see if I could do something like that in a hockey game. Or honestly, the repetition, like it's nice to have new players, and it's nice to have, I know Stuart Skinner will flip his hair before putting on his mask.
You love Stuart Skinner.
Every time shout out at this point. And
Hurricanes guy.
There we go. Yeah. So I know that if I'm shooting, I can shoot that hair flip from 3 different locations and get 3 different shots of the same moment, but I can make it look different. And a lot of it comes down, like for me, and I'm sure Erica can echo this sentiment, is that it's just like composition is everything. And it's building off different types of photos, even if it's the same thing, like composing it in a different way, going tight, going loose, trying out all of that type of stuff. So just like, it's hard to shoot 20 games of the same athletes, but at the same time, like, you're awarded 20 games to try new things, which is
a privilege, to say the least.
And that's the best part about sports, is like every game's different.
Yeah.
So you're not like, oh, well, here we go again.
Yeah. And you'll find different stuff. Like I'll be having bench access next year, which is going to be amazing. And like, you try this thing in the tunnel, and shout out to Chase, but like that guy gives me a battery in my back to just be like, looking at how he shoots video really changes a lot of how I want to shoot photos, because he has a completely different brain that's working around how he wants to shoot stuff. So if I'm like, oh shit, that's so sick, like I'll be like, how can I do something like that?
Yeah. And it's interesting because I look at people like you guys and other photographers who I work with very frequently. It's just like, my perspective on how I capture video has changed, because I'm now understanding, one, how to take photos. Like in the last few years, like I've gradually improved as a photographer, even though it's not my main thing. But like, I think now I'm seeing, this is going to sound strange, but I see my videos through the frame of a photo. How am I composing this to look good? But now how do I add motion to it? So like, you learn so much from the other style of work. With you, we talked about, you got these 25 games to shoot this team. It's a very good hockey team to shoot. You get to shoot Jesus on skates.
I am so lucky.
You get to shoot Jesus on skates, his German Robin Hood, like Robin to his Batman. Like an incredible team just made the final. Do you ever just like kind of sit back and be like, holy shit, I get to shoot the Edmonton Oilers with the next coming of Jesus Christ on the ice? Or like,
yes. Yeah. Like, and I am so fortunate to be shooting this team at this point in time.
Yeah.
And at this point in their career and all of that. And it's like, like arguably some of the best, if not the best players in the league. Yeah.
Night in, night out.
And night in and night out. And the value, like I'm so fortunate because like the intrinsic value of those photos of like Connor taking a lap in between whistles, like is elevated because it's him. Yeah. Or Leon at a face-off because it's him. Or like, like I'm really, really fortunate because my goal, like I've always had this, I've always had this mindset, especially with shooting sports, but shooting everything, is that like, Connor McDavid will make a good photo because he's Connor McDavid.
It's like the argument of like, is it a good photo or is it a photo of a famous person?
Yes,
but
exactly.
I think it's really special when you have the ability to take a good photo of a well-known person, of a celebrity or a famous athlete. And I think you do a very good job of taking both of those, because, a lot of people, like, we see it all the time, but you do a very good job of like making those moments way more valuable than just being Connor McDavid.
And I appreciate it. And like so much that it's noticed, but then also it's like too, like, I'll go back to Lucas Shishing, like that same podcast episode.
Yeah, we talked about this.
And it's like, I have a responsibility as a photographer of this team at this point to give fans sort of the visuals that I would hope is deserving of the legacy of what's going to happen here. And that's a really cool weight sort of on the collective creators' shoulders. Yeah. And it's something that I'm really, really fortunate to be part of.
Yeah. And I think I said this to you guys, and I said this in Florida too, and I felt like the old man in the room. It's like, having done my third final, it's just like, because Florida could have won any of those games. And I literally said, I remember saying to, I think Chase and then everyone in Florida, I was just like, guys, like whatever fucking happens, like remember you're like capturing a moment of history. Like 10 years from now, when it's 2037 or whatever the fuck, like people are going to be looking back at this as the first time Florida won or the first time Edmonton came back. Like you're capturing history. And I think it's something, no matter the level you do it at either, like whether even with like the Lions or anything of that sort, any sport, any level, like I loved shooting university sports because even though I wasn't like the NHL, those images meant a lot to the community that it was from, the players, the school, the city. And I know with you, with Lethbridge, you talked about it. you see these guys grow up, you see them from a young age. These photos mean something to you, and you light up every time you're like, oh, this guy posted the photo. You know what I mean? Like, so there's an intrinsic, there's a deeper value than just shooting sports.
Well, and then I'd say for the three of us being ingrained in Canadian markets, we have a subconscious knowledge of the value of sports photography, I think, within like, especially the hockey sphere, like as not to be like as Canadians, like, I could probably pick out 10 historical hockey photos that I remember, and especially in a place like Edmonton that has had a legacy of that we have. It's like, I know the Wayne Gretzky photos, like I know the Messier photos, I know the Ryan Smith photos, like I know all of that because we see them here.
Yeah, it's like college football and high school football in the southern United States. It's part of the culture. It's ingrained, and it's hockey. But I mean, especially when you get to the junior level too, like these are images that even when these guys make the NHL, like the amount of times we see like a Mitch Marner photo when he was in London, because it's just like that's the legacy that you're capturing. One more thing before I pivot back to Erica. You're also a high school teacher, like you said, full time. How do you balance your lifestyle between being in the classroom with all these young kids who are like, going through puberty and being really sassy and growing up, and then leaving your day job, going to see your wife for like 5 minutes, and then going to shoot Connor McDavid at night? What's that lifestyle like?
Well, I can't at this point in my life, knock on wood, I can't complain. Shout out to my wife. She is Danny, you're the best, the consummate like supporter of everything that I've done. We've been together for years. You're
gonna make me cry.
And hey,
what was your wedding song? We did that playing.
Our first dance was "And Then Some" by the Arkells, but that's the acoustic version.
That's a good song.
Yeah, and we're married for 7 years in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
But yeah, so like, but the cool thing is like she's a crazy sports fan, like arguably more of a hockey fan than I am. And then also like she's also a teacher, but she coaches a lot of junior high teams, like one of the top volleyball programs in the city, like all sorts of stuff. She's the best. So like we have, and she does a lot of extracurricular stuff too. But then once again, like we've been together through my whole entire time as me as a freelancer. So she knows the work, the life, all of that sort of stuff. But pivoting back, so I've been a full-time teacher for about 2 years, junior high, so grade 7, 8, 9. And then I was subbing sort of before that. The kids are the best, man. Like they're the best. They'll be like, you'll have the classic kid that'll like stop me in the hallway and be like, Mr. Swanson, were you at the game yesterday? and I'll be like, no, it was in Minnesota. And he's like, oh yeah, my bad. And then, or, if I'm lucky, I'll see a kid
at the game,
and they're like, Mr. Swanson. I'm like, what's going on?
Mr. Swanee, that's our hockey name.
And there we go. And no, it's so, at this point in my career, I'm incredibly fortunate because what I get to do is I get to take jobs that I like. And if it's clients like an interior client, or if it's, portraits or something like that, they understand like I've been doing this for a long enough time that they can be like, I've got some time constraints. Can you work with that? And they're like, sure. And the great thing about sports is hockey's never going to be on a Tuesday at 1:00 in the afternoon.
It's always going to be
so
7 or 8 o'clock.
I'm never going to mesh those worlds together. So that gives me a lot of leniency. And then fundamentally, like I have so much fun doing my job. So it's like, I could have a shit day at school where just like things weren't working out, or like I wasn't doing it wasn't the best that I could do, or the kids were difficult or something like that. And I know that like when I sit down and when I'm going to be at that hockey game, like, I'm in
I have chills right now.
I'm in complete control of what I get to do.
Yes.
And I also get to like ingest like professional, like, mastery.
I relate to that so much because when I came to Edmonton for game 4, it was the first game I'd shot all year. And I was going through the ringer for a few months. And I remember getting to my spot in the 300s of Rogers Place as they're singing the anthems. And I was just like, First of all, I've never been in a place that loud. But second of all, like I felt like you get a sense of peace, and you're like I'm where I'm supposed to be. So I really relate to that. And it's awesome that I find it incredible that you found this industry in teaching where you're at school from 8 a.m. till 3. And then you go to, it's a perfect balance. It's a perfect situation.
Well, and like just a cool thing too is like one of the things that I teach like a junior high photography class.
Oh, okay. I was just going to say, you probably inspire kids now too.
We were doing things last year where like I'd have like on the board is like one of my photos.
I was just going to ask you, like, how do you drop the bomb on, because you have a new class of kids over here. How do you drop the bomb on them? They're like, I shoot this guy. And it's just 97 on the wall.
It all kind of trickled down. You know, once the floodgates open, like they're like, oh yeah, Mr. Swanson is on the Oilers. I'm like, no, I'm not on the Oilers, but like I get it. And like I had like my desktop background that's like up on the smart board is one of my favorite.
He's just subtly flexing.
No, but I mean, it's a shot of the first time. I'll try and find it for you for the podcast, but it's the first time that Chicago was playing in Edmonton this year
with
Bedard. He's not in the photo, but the photo there was an empty net goal at the end of the game, and it's just a big wide shot of like you can see sort of like a third of the rink, and it's the like Connor Leon, Evan Bouchard, they're all celebrating, and I can't remember who. The puck's like in the net. He's just sitting on the ground. This dejected Blackhawks player being like, yes, we got scored on again. Yeah. And so like that was my desktop background for the year.
I love that.
That's awesome. What's before one more thing, what is the weirdest thing one of your students has asked you or said to you when they find out that you shoot the Oilers? What's like the weirdest or the funniest thing that you've gotten?
It's always like, can I get tickets? It's like the
answer is no.
It's not like, do you know Connor to come over for supper and stuff? Like, you bring him in for show and tell.
Like, have you talked to the Oilers before? I'm like, yes. You know, and like
they're normal people.
Believe it or not, they're also just
like us.
They're like us.
They're just really good.
Incredibly good. They're never super weird about it, which I think is good. Maybe I've gotten an aura of like respect.
This guy's got aura.
But yeah, it's usually like, can you get me free tickets tomorrow? I'm like, people pay $500. Why would Rogers Place give me tickets?
Yep. You know, so. All right, shifting gears here to Erica. You are someone who you shoot a variety of sports. You shoot obviously hockey throughout the year, but you also shoot football. And I got to work with you at the Honda Indy. What do you kind of do? And I feel like a lot of people pigeonhole themselves. So I'm gonna rephrase my question. I feel like a lot of people pigeonhole themselves into shooting one thing, and that's their identity, what it becomes. What made you kind of realize that you had to shoot more than just hockey in your career, or wanted to? How did you pivot from the WHL to the CFL and then also to something like IndyCar? We'll start off with that.
That's a loaded question. I feel like my identity still is hockey though. Yeah. Like when I know it doesn't mean everything, but like when I post like hockey photos, it skyrockets. Like it boosts everything online for me. I don't know. It's just I love sports. Like I just played every sport growing up. And I think that's the biggest challenge is learning a new sport. So when I got asked to do the Lions last year.
Was it your first time shooting football last year?
Yeah.
Shit.
And she killed it.
And she was sick.
So
we're going to be like watching this and be like, I'm trying to be like her.
Yeah.
Let this woman cook.
Yes, please.
Thank you, Stephen and Nick, for bringing me on for the past 2 years. It's been great. I was like, I don't even know what to do. And it was in Calgary. Boo. And I just didn't know what to do. It was such a hot day too. And so I was just like grumpy to begin with. And Steven kind of was just like, okay, like we follow the play, and you literally see on TV, like they follow.
Down by down.
They follow. Yeah. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to stand over here for a bit and figure it out. And I was actually everyone asked, have you ever been hit? And I was like, no. But I did have another photographer run into me and then blamed me for it. Like literally like stepped on my foot. Was like, why were you there? And I was just like, I was just chilling here. I'm sorry.
Shut up. Do you know who I
am? Yeah. So I was like, yeah, this is my first time shooting. That's for sure.
And how have you found yourself like evolve in like a new sport over how do you take what you do in hockey and apply it to football?
I don't even know. I honestly don't know.
You just make it work.
I just kind of like, watch what happens. And then the biggest thing in hockey is like I can read plays. Like I played hockey growing up. I'm a coach. Like that has always helped me. Shooting hockey is like I know what's gonna happen next, or like I know like you were saying, you know what Connor's doing because you watch it and be like, okay, that's his routine. And football is challenging, but you just get used to it. Like it's really different and cool, and I think that's why I like it, because I can be different.
We talked about it yesterday. I think there's something about football. It's like theatrical. It's dramatic. Hockey is just fast and intense, but football is like there's build up every single time they go to line up for the next down, and there's just like some theatrical thing. Like,
it's battle.
It's a war.
It's tough.
It's a war.
It's tough.
Yeah, and just like there's something to it. Like I always say, like I love shooting hockey. My favorite sport to shoot is football. It's just so much fun to watch. And I think it's just like, there's so much energy to it too. When it comes to IndyCar, because we just shot that in Toronto, motorsports is a whole other fucking world of, you have to wait a minute and 30 seconds and you only have 75 times.
And you have like 0.2 seconds while they go by.
And you shoot hockey, which is a fast sport as it is.
Yeah, no, these guys are going 200 miles an hour.
What changes in your mindset and your creative process when you go to a track and shoot cars going over 200 kilometers an hour? And we're using kilometers because we're Canadian.
Kilometers, miles, I don't even know anymore.
Whatever.
Yeah, but
they're going really fast.
So that was my second one. I did Nashville in 2021. Actually, it was exactly 3 years ago yesterday, I think. They're just also very different people. Like they have their routines, just like hockey, football, whatever it is. So you figure that out at the start of the race. And that's where I can get my creative stuff. And then it's like, okay, it's go time. And I feel like I just black out, honestly, because they are going so fast. They're like, I don't want to get hit, first of all. And you need to be watching. And
you're just bursting.
And it's kind of like what I was saying before. Like if you're doing a pan shot and it doesn't work out, like no one's going to know it, but you have 80 other tries to get that.
Yeah.
And the company I'm working for with it, they have 9 drivers. So it's like, you know, if you don't get that guy, well, then there's like another guy coming up. So it's a lot easier shooting more drivers too.
And
so that helped.
Colton Herta. He won. He was one of your drivers.
Yeah.
How do you shift gears? Like there's 4 laps left in the race. Your guy's in first. Like what goes into your mind when you need to be in a certain position to capture him getting out of the car? And so like, what was your process? Like, let's say 5 laps to go, like what's going through your mind? I need to get where, like, what were you doing to get ready? Cause you know, he's going to win.
It was a big whirlwind anyways, because there was a huge crash.
Oh yeah.
There's a huge pile up on turn 1 with 13 laps to go, I think something it was. Like so I was already in the pits waiting for Colton to come by because he wasn't first. And I think Scott McLaughlin was in third. And so he's another one of our guys, and their pits are right beside each other. So it's like, that made it easy. But if one of the other guys was going to win for some reason, like we had another guy over there with them and I would have just booked it over there. But you're already like in the mindset of like, they're going to win. You need to be ready. The crash happened, red flag. So then you're waiting again. And so then it's like, okay, you come down a bit.
Yeah.
It's like, get some water, and then they start up and then Scott crashes. And so you feel bad for him. I was standing beside his wife actually. Oh. And she was like 8 months pregnant, I think. And she was just like, for fuck's sake. Like and I'm like, I'm thinking what she's thinking right now. So then it's again, you just kind of come down and you're like, well, for fuck, like it sucks. It's like going down a goal with like 2 minutes left.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I don't know what's going to happen. So it's, Colton won, but there's so many photographers that you just don't even know what to do. You're just trying not to be in the way. We all pile out there. And again, I just kind of block out when I get to that point. Like I don't know.
I mean, you kind of just run on autopilot, right? Yeah. Like that's like me when I'm on the ice.
It's like,
like I don't remember anything.
I always get
and
that
you go
question.
back. Yeah, you go back on it. It's like, oh wow, I actually did get him like celebrating out of the car, and like, you know, the champagne spray, which is so iconic. It's like, I don't know if I got that, and until you go back, until you go back, you're like, oh, okay, that was pretty sweet.
If it's like an Unreal game, or like I'm shooting at something, whatever, and like it's the same thing. Like I'll go home and like my wife will be like, you want to watch the highlights? I'm like, yes, because I have no fucking clue.
Like what actually happened.
Like I got a great photo of whatever goal just happened. if you ask me how it happened, I'd be like, damned if I know.
Yeah. See, it's so interesting because I feel the same way when I take photos. There's a photo of Darcy Kemper I have that like, it's like the one of his mask and like really close up and it's just like his sweat dripping off. And I don't remember taking that. I do not remember taking this photo, but anytime I take a video, I always remember it. Maybe because it's motion and it's just like my brain thinks it differently. But I was going to ask you very similarly, like we were in a situation during the finals where we came here, Edmonton was down 3-0, and you got to get ready for the fact that Florida could win the Stanley Cup in Edmonton. We had 2 games here, but then they won game 4. And I walked into the room like, guys, if they win tonight, if they win to the next game, so they win that night. And then they win again in 5. We're back here for 6. And we're sitting in a room, we're like, we don't know what's going to happen. And they win, the building's losing like bonkers. They dominated them. Very similarly, when you know that's going to be a big deal, like they didn't win the cup, they just tied the series after being 3-0 down. What's going through your mind? What are you thinking of capturing in a different situation? Because we went outside after, the streets were crazy, the fans and the stands were going nuts. Like, what is going through your mind in a historical moment like that?
I think a lot of it is just like be present and reactive. Mm-hmm. Like as much as you can be ready for what's happening, you have no idea what's going to happen. Like it's great when you're afforded the foresight to be like, I want to get this shot here. Or I want to do this. I want to be here. I want to be there. But like for that, it was just like, yeah, like it was hold on for dear life. And like, let's see what happens here. Yeah. And then, I mean, shout out to the team that we had. Yeah. We were
in the trenches for real.
Right. Like, and it was between like Chase and you and me, Matt and Nick. And then like Nicole at the helm, just kind of being like,
she's like the offensive coordinator. She's just like, you're right? Yeah.
And that gave me kind of solace to just be like, yeah, like we're going to be like, whatever's going to happen collectively, it's going to look great. And I mean, that goes, once again, it goes back to like the ego part of it.
I was just going to,
where it's just like, it's like, I'm happy the team's here. Yeah. Right. Because when the team's here and we're killing it, everybody's killing it.
Yeah, you feel so much better.
Right.
Like I felt that when I was with you guys. I felt that when I was in Florida. I felt that in like Toronto during the Indy. I was with my friend Nicole, and our driver ended up having a much better result. It's just like when you get that collective, like we did it and we had to capture. It's such an incredible feeling. I'm going to pivot back to you. You shot the Paralympic hockey team. Was that the sledge hockey, the national Paralympic team?
National Para. Yeah.
And they won the world championships. What was it this year?
Yeah.
This year.
Yeah, this year.
What was that experience like? Because it's obviously like a national team championship. It's for the country, not just Lethbridge. It's the entire country. I have a little bit of experience, like, with those guys and some relationship with them, but what's the experience like shooting a national level event and like capturing a historical moment like that? And I think you're going to say it's like, those guys, some of them, you have like, yeah. I'll let you go on.
So I've done freelance with the Hockey Canada for 2 years now too. And my first event was Hlinka Gretzky Cup in Red Deer, and they won gold. And then I came up to Edmonton because they had the weird COVID summer year. Yeah. And they won gold there too. And it was when they saved it from the goal line against Finland and went back in overtime and scored. And this one of those moments, I'm going to pivot a bit here too. Like I have that full sequence and I don't remember why I was shooting that. And then just like following Bedsy up the ice, and then they like go in and score.
Oh, the World Juniors here. Yeah, I remember that.
And so I was just like, okay.
Against Slovakia or whatever.
No, Finland.
It
was the gold medal game against Finland, and it was just like it was wild. It was the craziest time I had shooting, I think. So you just, I don't know, like the para team is just amazing to begin with, and so I was with them last year. It was my first time being around them and shooting them in Moose Jaw. And they got silver to the U.S. And I'm going to have to fact check this one, but I think it was 18 championships or 18 years since Canada's won gold. So they did this year. And it was just like, I felt emotional because they were so emotional. Mm-hmm. Like, and they're, like I said, they're just the best guys. You've been around a few of them.
Tyler and whatnot.
Yeah. you're just happy for them.
Because their stories are
stories are so different, and they put their hearts out there. Like this is their they're going.
That's their Stanley Cup.
Yeah, absolutely. I was gonna say Olympics, but they do go to the Paralympics. So.
I have a quick question for both of you guys.
Okay.
Just talking about.
I'm getting asked a question in my own podcast.
Yeah, talking about sort of like the weight of experience. Like I can't remember. Yeah, I think it was maybe Chase, because it was his first season shooting with the NHL this year. He was asking me some questions.
Did he ask you to shadow him?
Yeah.
Or to shadow you?
Big. Come along. And he was, I was talking to him maybe or somebody else, and they were like, do you ever have a second to take in what you're doing? And I was like, yeah, like I learned from my first season, but then also like games before that of like, I try and take, if it's like an important game, I try and take like 10 seconds to myself. Like do either of you guys do like something like there's at least that like slight bit of meditation that you need to do in order to just like
you ground yourself.
Yeah.
That's what I say. Yeah. It's like the 3 Stanley Cup finals I've been at, I have taken every time where I have the privilege to be on the ice when the cup is handed out and they're on the ice. And every time I'm on there, and I actually talked about this, I don't know if it was with you, but we talked about like what it means to you to shoot something like this. I think it was, don't know if it was you or if it was Nick, somebody, but for me, it's interesting because I think I talked about it with, probably was Nick, but like he said to me, like, I grew up around hockey. Like, this is so special to me. Like, this is what I grew up watching. So he takes that moment for himself. I do it too. Every final, I literally, when I'm on the ice, I've captured what I needed to capture. I take a second to put my camera down and I look around. You're there and you're taking it in. But for me, it goes like a little step deeper. I'm an immigrant. I came here when I was 5. Like I moved to Canada when I was 5. And every time I'm on the ice for the final, I call my parents. I FaceTime my parents. Yes, I FaceTime my parents every single time because what it is to me is I don't get this opportunity and this experience without them making a huge sacrifice. So that for me, it's just like, number one, it's a remember what you did to get here, but remember who got you here first. And I call my parents every single time. And this year I kind of took it a step further. Like I FaceTime my parents and then I turn the phone and I'm showing them like people lifting the cup and stuff. And like, my dad loves hockey. He started watching when we moved here and he really enjoys it. He kind of through me as well. My mom has no idea. Like she watches hockey. She doesn't get it, but she just thinks it's so cool. But I always say to them like, no, this is like because of you guys. So it is a moment of like appreciating for yourself and what it is. But for me, it's also just like, if it wasn't for them doing the ultimate sacrifice, just like moving our asses out here to Canada, I wouldn't be there. So that's like something anytime I'm at a major championship event, that's what I always kind of look back on.
Think about the family.
Yeah.
They're there to support you.
It's a village.
And it's also the ego part. Like you're not like, oh, I'm here. Let me like show the world this. It's like you're literally thinking of your family and thankful for what you actually do and where you are. And
I even called like a handful of friends, like just called them and be like, and like, Kyle, you answered the phone. Nicole, fuck you didn't answer the phone. I wanted like, but just my friends. Yeah, you answered the phone. I called you.
I was at Boston Pizza. Shout out.
I call Erica. I'm like, oh, look at this shit. But it's like it's also remembering, like it's showing the people who've been with you on this journey, and like those, like, you know, I've known you for the last 2 years, but like Kyle and Nicole, who are my closest friends in the creative industry, like they were with me before I was even at the NHL. They were with me before like I got my break. So it's just like I'm sharing this with you guys too. But I that's something I do every single time.
You're not like, oh, jealous and get mad about it. It's like, no, fuck yeah, I'm gonna.
You're sharing your win. You're sharing your wins. You're the biggest supporter is the other photographer or video person there. But I think it's also just like I just had this conversation with your friend who works for Hockey Canada. Steph, because we went to the same high school. We grew up in the same town, and it's just, for me, it's hilarious that it's funny. I always laugh. A kid from Colombia gets to be on the ice for the Stanley Cup final.
Viva Colombia.
And I went to a very white hockey town high school, and all those guys thought they were making the show, and they gave me shit for not being good at hockey. Yeah. But I'm the one who
I made it to the league.
You literally made it to the
you know
show.
What I mean? So it's like it's kind of a full circle moment for a lot of things. Along the same kind of circle of questions here. What's like your dream event to shoot? Or championship or whatever. Like I know what the answer is going to be, but like what's your dream like peak event?
Yeah, for me it's Olympics.
Okay.
Like it's like Olympics World Cup. is like the 1A, 1B.
See, mine's World Cup Olympics.
Yeah. I just like, I don't know. Soccer's so much fun to shoot. So much fun.
And
like I shot the World Cup qualifiers here, like in November when it was the Ice Teca.
Bro,
Ice Teca
was legendary.
Seeing Alphonso Davies level a
someone
dude right in front of me is the craziest.
Oh.
But yeah, like I think Olympics, World Cup is 1A, 1B.
This guy's already been to a Stanley Cup final. He's just like, but yeah, you didn't get to shoot the cup though.
I know exactly. Yeah, haven't even seen it.
She's beautiful. He's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's a he.
But yeah, so that's I think Olympics and then World Cup.
What about you?
Summer and winter, or just
do you have a preference? I'm into both. Give me I want to be shooting diving, and I want to be shooting like
bobsled.
The rock climbing.
Yeah, competitive rock.
Insane.
Break dancing. Yeah. Unless you're that Australian chick that we're all seeing all over the internet.
Better than
what's your
Well, I've never even shot AHL, so I would say NHL is still my number one.
Yeah.
I was just like a game, and then I could move from there.
Yeah.
And honestly, going back on the para thing, like I'd love to shoot the Paralympics.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be a dream to like be able to follow this team because, like I said, you just get so attached to that room, and you want to see them succeed. So
you're going to be in Milan in 2 years.
Okay, deal.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen.
No, and I think we're all a little closer to where we want to be than we think. Like I said to myself, like I want to shoot the World Cup in 26, 2 years from now. A lot can happen in 2 years, and it was funny because at the start of the year, I'm like, I want to shoot the Copa America. It didn't work out, but just for me, it's just like wasn't the time, But like I think it's good to have those like kind of goals in mind and where you want to be. But I think going to what you're saying, like you shoot better photos than people who shoot NHL and AHL games, and that speaks volumes. She doesn't agree with me.
I'll never agree with that.
But like you shoot better things than people at the level, and I really don't think that. And this is going to sound weird. I don't want anyone to take offense to this if you're listening, but the level of sports you shoot does not correlate to your level of talent.
Yeah. Any photo can be in focus.
Yes. Any photo can be in focus and anyone can capture a goal, but it's how you tell the story and give the photo. And there are people who shoot high school sports in the States that I know that shoot fucking incredible.
Crazy.
And
unreal what's coming out
shout
of
out to Christian Gretzky.
Gretzky's our guy.
Christian, like he's a dude we all know. He's super talented, shoots high school, and he makes beautiful images. So I'm like, I think we all get stuck into this mindset of like, I need to make it to the NHL. I need to make it to the NBA. I need to make it to whatever. And it's funny because like, when you think about some of the Olympic photographers, like they're not like shooting necessarily the highest level of their sport. They're just really, really good at shooting the sports they shoot at. And sorry, go on.
Some of the best things that I've been able to take photos of, especially sort of having part of my life being a teacher, is like, I went back to like my high school that I went to in Edmonton, and I shot the basketball team. Mm-hmm. And like, I shot junior high volleyball. Yeah. And it's like, I want to make them look like NHL players.
And feel that way. They'll feel that way when they have good photos. Yeah.
And that's the thing. Yeah. And it's like, a photo is going to be a good photo if it's going to be a good photo, if it's going to be a good photo. And it's like, that opportunity doesn't matter what level. Yeah. Like, kill it at every level.
Yeah. I just looked. We didn't get any questions, but I'm going to slowly start wrapping it up.
Okay.
Hey, you guys got to start throwing these questions in there. That was also made for not doing it earlier.
Like, who are these two clowns?
I'm going to throw you guys some really quick rapid fire questions. I ask everyone kind of just like
Nikon.
I was going to ask. So we're going to start off with what camera brand you use. You both use Nikon. Can I ask why you use Nikon? And I know y'all get a bad rep, and I roast Nikon shooters all the time, but you guys create really beautiful images. But why Nikon over other brands?
In 2008, I bought a Nikon D60.
Was that your first camera?
That was my first camera, Nikon D60 with the 18 to 55 kit lens. That was the first camera that I bought, and tens of thousands of dollars worth of gear later, no one's convinced me otherwise to change. Okay. And it's gotten me to this point.
Yeah. It's not the brush, it's the artist.
Yeah. The white lenses are too bright. I honestly, when it comes to gear,
it's the way that it spins.
I literally couldn't care less.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
What about you? Why is it
similar? 2009, me and my dad went to the local store in Brandon, and I got a D90 for mine with the kit lens, and that's what I shot this wedding for $200, and then started shooting the WHL hockey my brother was playing. in the stands. And then same thing, like you just start building your kit, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, I just switched to mirrorless 3 years ago.
What do you guys use right now?
Z 6.2 and 6 are my two. So I have two mirrorless bodies. But going on that, it was like when I wanted to upgrade, it was like, do I do the switch to Sony and then like start over, you could say, right? Yeah. So that was my biggest thing. I was like, I'm just going to ride out Nikon because I'm used to it, comfortable. Already got the stuff. So
I use a D4, like a workhorse D4 that's gotten me everything. And then I've got a D850 that I use for more commercial stuff if I need the megapixels. But I was shooting some sports with it yesterday, man. It's just clunky. So
what's your dream piece of gear that you do not own that you want to have?
I would love one of the like Fuji, like big ass, like ones at GFX, whatever.
Like the full medium format ones?
Yeah, the medium format Fuji ones, just to shoot sports with that. There's a depth of field that you get with medium format, anything that you can't get with
shot medium
35 millimeter. Like,
I love Fujifilm though.
Yeah,
I do. Yeah.
And I would love to do that. Like that'd just be super fun.
Yeah. What about you?
I'm going to butcher this name, but I want a Hasselblad.
Hasselblad.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes.
You shoot film, right?
I would love that.
Or a digital or a film one.
I would love a film one, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Who has the most annoying fan boys / girls out of the camera world that aren't Nikon? Like who gives you guys the most shit? Canon guys, Sony guys, Fuji?
Everyone.
Think
That's me.
Yeah. I think,
I think the worst is Darty. I'm going to call you out here. Darty, I'm thinking weekly. He'll send me memes about potatoes and stuff like that. And
hey, they own Red now.
I shoot on Red.
You shoot on Red.
We're just Red now. So,
what is the most overdone trend in sports photography?
Bad composition.
That's not a bad trend. That's a skill level issue.
That's hard.
Swirly photos.
Everyone's doing it now.
Kidding.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, like honestly, yeah, like flashy photos for flashy photos' sake that just aren't good.
Yeah,
right. So it's just like the star filters or the swirlies or anything.
Absolutely.
No,
everything she does.
It's like you'll see there's like a marked difference between like all of the motion blur that's coming out of the Olympics.
Okay, yeah.
Right. So it's just like.
I really like that.
I love it. I love it. And when it's done well, it's done
That's
well.
The other thing. Yeah.
Right. And so it's just like, don't post it on Instagram when it's your first time trying it out.
Yeah.
Post it on Instagram when it's like your 40th try.
Yeah.
That's like me with my IndyCar pans, actually. It took me so long to even try to get one in focus.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So I don't know, like jumping anything, any of those trends. I don't know.
What's the most, what is one piece of gear in your kit that you regret buying? That you don't use, you think it's overrated, or just wasn't what you expected it to be?
Wow.
Ooh.
I think I actually gave it away to one of my buddies, a Sigma 10 to 20. Like, I don't use it anymore.
You don't like the wide lenses? That's like a
But like I have almost, yeah. But like I thought I was going to use it for hockey, but I use my 18 to 35 and I like it so much better.
Yeah. I've whittled down my lens kit pretty big. I was going to say, like, it was the most tragic day when I sold my 85. I had an 85 1.4 prime and it was like the nicest lens, but I was just like, I want to get this, like I should, invest in this. And I got rid of that. I loved that lens, but I never used it. But yeah, like everything else, I don't know. The one that's surprising that I use all the time is I got an Insta360 and that thing's super fun. It's just like passive content.
Yep.
Is like
I have DJI Osmo, Action 4. I just got that and I use it for behind the scenes. I shattered the lens after having it for a week. So I'm waiting for an Amazon ordering today.
You know what actually is one of the things that I would say is the worst piece. Like I recently just bought one of the Nanak cases. I should have gotten the foam insert instead of the cube.
I have the cube. Oh, you got the cube.
I
have the I know
the compartmentalized.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, the Velcro. I should have got the Velcro. I ordered it.
Okay, good.
And I was like, I opened this up and I was like, man,
that's probably the best purchase I've ever made.
Yeah, I'm stoked on the case, I shouldn't have gotten the little cute foam.
Yeah. It's all about the camera. Sometimes when you're carrying your stuff in, and like there's other stuff like that's more important. My last question, and it just escaped my mind. Fuck. I think it was this is embarrassing. What was my last question? It had nothing.
Was it gear related?
It was not gear related. Oh my God, I can't remember that's embarrassing. I cannot remember. Maybe it'll come back to me in the next 5 minutes.
We'll do a phone call.
We'll do a phone call add on if I remember it. What was it? I'm just like trying to go through all the questions that I normally ask. Overrated, underrated piece of gear. One trend you don't like. Fuck, I can't remember. Anyways, I'm just going to move on. Yes. We're going to start wrapping up here. Before we do, can you guys, I know I asked you guys this earlier for something you would tell your younger self, but what would you tell someone else who isn't yourself, and a young photographer who's trying their best to break into this industry and is struggling or doubting themselves or whatever? What's one piece of advice you would give to them to, break through in this industry?
Wow. So definitely, we've touched on all of these, but like the ego-based thing, like you're not, just because you're asking, so it's like you for World Cup, it's like, I'm gonna make it there. Mm-hmm. It's like, you're not just gonna like call them up and be like, hey, give me a media pass. Like you have to work for it. So I always tell them like, make connections. And I know the biggest thing right now is like, don't work for free, like exposure bucks and stuff like that.
Work for free if
but
you want
to. Literally I worked for free for 5 years. Yes. Okay. Like I worked for free for 5 years to get to where I am. If you think it's going to benefit
your career in the long run,
and I've done this for 15 years. So it's like, make the connections, make good connections. Don't just like try to be friends with somebody because you want to like shadow them or go shoot with them or something like that. Like actually make genuine connections with people that you look up to, and then you'll be there one day and you'll have your own following. Like that's the biggest thing I would say. And don't listen to people that tell you won't make it.
Fuck them.
Fuck those guys.
Before you go, I remember my question. What is your biggest, and I got this from Peter Sorellis' reel this morning, and I asked you, but he posted
Shout out Peter.
He posted a reel that was like, when you're at a game and you like, what's your like moment when you're at a game and you're cooked? Like what's your biggest like, fuck, I didn't do this or didn't do that? Like for me, it's like when I realized I didn't dump my SD cards the night before and I have like 10 minutes of shooting and I don't know what's on the card. Like what's your biggest I'm cooked moment when you're shooting a game?
Batteries for me.
The way that my workflow works is that I shoot like RAWs to a XQD card and JPEGs to a CF card.
My brain hurts, but okay.
Yes.
Okay. And if I need to upload on the go, I just throw the CF card into my phone and I can shoot it through Lightroom Mobile and it's out. My biggest is when I leave one of the memory cards back at my computer and you're like, I'm like, oh, like my workflow just like takes this like U-turn and I'm like, okay, how can I get it? Because then the immediacy goes to shit and
then you're cooked.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your I'm cooked moment?
Yeah, well, just dead batteries. I don't know if maybe that's an icon thing, but I'm always struggling.
I got batteries.
I have 4 and I struggle all the time to just keep them going.
I'm neurotic about batteries. I'm like, if I have a fresh battery and I know like I'm halfway through a shoot and I'm like 15% down on one of them, I'd switch it out. I'm like, it could die.
Because I get anxious about that. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, whenever I'm shooting a game, like with video, I have a big chunky battery. If I'm shooting a photo, I'm like, if I get anywhere near 30%, I'm switching that thing. That thing's cooked. Anyways, back to the original last question, which was what's one piece of advice you would give to a young photographer who wants to break in?
Take advantage of sports that aren't take advantage of not shooting the NHL, not shooting the WHL, shoot minor hockey, shoot high school. Like I shout out to Jeffrey Jin, was a former student of mine.
Shout out Jeff.
Love this.
And I had a conversation with him and I was just like, yo, like all of your friends that play whatever basketball at this school, make it look good. And it ends up like you shooting in a nice gym. You're shooting like athletic teenagers. Like it's going to be good. Like the photos are good. So like do take advantage of sports that aren't the top level sports to make a portfolio that absolutely kills it. Because like, once again, we all know those photographers that are building incredible portfolios of like unreal sports on teams that you'll never see or never hear from, but the photos are beautiful. And
like teaching themselves. Like I've talked to Christian so much when he like 2 years ago when he got his first camera or whatever. And, he's just like, I want to try video, and look, like he's just killing it in lacrosse right now with his video work. And it's like you kind of have to teach yourself. You
teach yourself, and like you. I think,
that's how I learned.
I think it takes a very special person to where like you're not going to be good at it at first.
Yeah,
and I think it's understanding and accepting that. Like I had this conversation with a lot of my friends. I'm like, do you feel uncomfortable because you're not good at something? That means you're growing and you're learning. So like I think you have to be ready to not make beautiful image. You're going to make things that suck.
Yeah.
And it's going to suck for a while, but it's like,
but keep those so you remember.
Yes. And it's also just, it just showcases your growth. Yeah. But I also like to say, it's like, if you can make a shitty high school gym or a shitty high school rink look good, imagine what you can do when this girl gets into an NHL rink and she's making the Visit Lethbridge.com center look like a fucking Olympic rink. Like think about that. Like you can, versus like, if you can't even make an NHL rink look good and you have that opportunity, like
I'm blessed with a sold out crowd and probably some of the best lighting in the league. Yeah. So it's like, like
unreal.
Yeah. So you gotta go from one to the other, and it's,
all right.
If you can make a high school gym with 3 people look awesome, then you can do anything.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, we're going to really just wrap this up here. Where can the people find you? Give your shout outs on Instagram, Twitter, whatever the hell you use. Where can the people find you? Follow you.
My Twitter is just going to send you to Instagram, at Paul_Swanson_.
Go comment. Thank you, Mr. Swanson, after every, under every photo. Mr. Swanson. And just so you know who sent me.
Shout out to the kids.
What was it? At Paul Swanson?
At Paul_Swanson_.
Okay. What about you?
And I'm Twitter and Instagram at Perreaux Photo.
Okay. And go comment on hers and just put the goat emoji, and she'll hate you for that. But yeah, go do that. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed the episode, drop a like. If you guys have any questions for them and their photography, leave comments on wherever you're watching this, YouTube, Spotify, whatever. And also subscribe or follow the show if you haven't, and we'll catch you next time.